There we go. Vidar. Ooh, 1882. E4, E5. Could play the Scotch gambit here, I guess. One of my viewers was asking me to play the Scotch gambit. Let's see how it works out against a strong player. Look at that. He just puts the bishop there. Okay, stops the knight from coming here. And can't easily push this knight away either, huh? Let's continue the typical undermining of the center there. Then we'll castle, I guess. Ah, and he takes. Okay. Well then, I mean, he just pushes that pawn so we can take. Oh, that's a clever response. So if I just castle here, he can trade the knight. I take back with the queen. He can take this pawn. I'll put the bishop here. I mean, pawns are even, but since he gave me back this pawn, I got a big center, so that's my compensation now for the gambit. It's probably not the right way to think about it, but something like that. I want to hold on to that pawn, in other words. Okay, now I push. He could take here. Probably I should move this knight somewhere. Put the knight here. He takes, I take, and this is hanging. Okay, so prepare that. Prepare to move the knight. Now I move the knight. He takes, I take. This is defended, this is defended. Yeah, it's all okay. After he takes and I take, this is hanging. As my knight is hanging. It's always something. I go here. I mean, he had a discovered attack on this pawn, unleashing this. I wonder if I could play f4 here. f4 and then e5. Bishop protects my king's diagonal. The knight could come here, and I could take it with my queen. He takes, I take back. He takes. That's true. But if I have a pawn here, I'll be defending it. He stepped aside. Okay, let's go ahead and get in e5. I want to be a little bit careful about this line. And even though I did have a number of pawns on that, but now the knights can come in here. And which way to go? I think this way. Open up the F file. Look to get pressure on F7. Queen here or here. Now my knight, my bishop, my bishop is not, it's only protected by the queen. And when he takes us with check. Okay. Let's bring that. You know, actually, I think he could have grabbed the e-pawn there. Is that true? When I took, yeah, he could have grabbed the d-pawn here, but he didn't do that. Okay, let's defend the let's get back to the game. Let's defend this pawn. Bring Rick over. I mean, my queen is where the knight was hitting it, so would be hitting it, so I would have to defend that. So he let me get away with one. Ah. Dull, dull, dull. So I moved the knight to defend this pawn, and he moved his queen away, so I don't have to keep defending with my queen, and I can go back to this idea. I wasn't able to put it over here anymore because I was on a dark square, but you still got to come up with a plan for defending that pawn. Knight back, rook over, rook over. So if I push this pawn and he takes, I take, it's defended now. Or is there a way to get the knight in there somehow? Ah, the knight can come here. The other knight. Get the other knight in there. Take here. He can take here. It's a trade. I have an idea. Yeah, I figured he'd do that. So my idea was this. If he takes that pawn now, I can take here, and it's a fork of these squares. So if I take the rook and he takes, and I take the knight and he takes, and then I take here, he moves the king, and then I take here, and he takes back, he ends up with an extra knight. If I take here first, I just need to move the queen with tempo, I guess. Well, it's not exactly tempo, but it's something. It still guards this checking square. The knight's threatening a three-way fork there. It was almost possible to just take there because I get a big fork at the end, but it was not quite good enough. I had to give up, basically lose a queen. Maybe it comes out even. He takes the knight at the end, and it's just rook versus rook, but he has more pawns. We can look at that maybe after the game. Well, hopefully he can burn off some time. I used up a lot of my time. So I want him to use some time too. Yeah, eliminates one of the forks. And that was with check. Didn't have time to take here with either the knight or the queen. Taking with the queen is check. Taking with the knight is a fork and a discovered check. And it sets up a discovered check. So moving the queen somewhere, but where to move it to? He moves the rook. Okay, but that doesn't actually defend. He's going to, I'll take the pawn. He's going to give me a check with his queen. I'll have to trade queens. So is there something better? He protected this. Yeah, I don't see anything better. Yeah, and I have to trade queens. So the only question is, do I have a good move with the knight here? Not really. If I could bring my rook in, that would be nice, but don't see the opportunity here. Oh, so he decided to go after this pawn. I go here, he takes there. Ah, he gets 2 pawns for my 1, huh? I go here, he takes there, I'll go here. I go here, the pawn comes forward, I go back here, the pawn goes forward. Where do I go? Maybe I just go here with the knight, or the rook. Then I can do this. Well, probably a pretty even game at this point, down to just 2 pawns. He finally got his knight out of that square it was on. Yeah, he's setting up a mate here. If I had a knight here, I could set up a mate, but I don't have that. Okay, I'll just take it. It's a pawn. Why not? Can move quickly in these positions. So this is a technical draw, I think. Technically speaking, this is a draw. But you can play it for a while, see if you can get anything out of it. Yeah, I can't do anything here. Let's see, well, if I push here check and he comes forward, it's mate, so I can do that. And he has to go back, but that's about it. If he comes forward, isn't that mate again? Yeah, it is. So, I can give this check anyway. Yeah, once again, I don't really see anything I can do because he can always check me, and I don't want to put my king in the corner there. So I'm going to just go for a repetition here. Don't want to lose on time, and it's technically a draw anyway, so good game. We wanted to look at one thing here. There was just this funny possibility. If we go back quite a ways back, even before that, right here. Yeah, he takes the pawn. I take here with check. King has no moves. Can't take because it's protected, so he has to take with the knight. Then I go here, check. The king could run away at this point. And then it's 2 rooks versus... Yeah, I got 2 rooks and a knight versus queen and 1 rook. So think of the 2 rooks being worth about a queen, and then he's up the exchange with the rook versus the knight and a pawn in the center. So that's no good. Or, but the idea was he takes and then I get the fork, and then he comes out with a king because we're going to an endgame, and it's an even position after that. But yeah, he had a way to play that better. Anyway, interesting possibility. Let's see if we can get a rapid game here. Hassan Del. Okay. E4. I did a Sicilian recently. Let's just do E4, E5. How about? See what my opponent plays. Maybe he'll play a Scotch gambit. No, he plays the Italian game. I can play the two knights. Just something different. I've played a lot of Italian games. This is a very popular opening these days. So he just castled, leaving this pawn undefended. I think I can actually take it. Let's go ahead and try this. It stops him from putting his knight here. And I think I need to block the bishop. He might get this pawn back at the end of the day. Because he's got a rook and a knight, and I just have a knight defending it. So he attacks my knight. I could bring the bishop out here, attacking the f2 square. I wanted to get the bishop off the back rank anyway so I could castle, but that looks like a way to do it with tempo. And how does he defend f2 anyway? Oh, he can defend it with the rook. He can put the rook on the light squares. I was thinking my bishop was covering those squares, but of course it's not. My bishop is the dark squared one. So he just has to make a rook move there. Oh, he's not going to bother. Okay, I'm going to check. Let's think about this. So I check, he moves the king, and I'll take his rook. He's going to take here. I'll take back with check. Bishop takes. I can put the bishop here. I think I'm okay. Is that correct? Check, king moves, take. He ignores that and takes here. I take it. He takes with check. I put the bishop here. And he can take back here, take back with the check, but I can move my king aside. I think this just works. Oh yeah, my knight's still going to be here, so it won't even be check when the queen takes back, even if this knight goes away. And I have queen here check. Taking his knight. If he doesn't, he needs to take here right away. Your opponent left the game. I think maybe he's disgusted with the game. It might be disgust. Well, you can play these counterattacks many times in chess, but you do have to try and calculate them out to the best of your ability to see that you get decent compensation or some tactic at the end. But I calculated as best I could, and it seemed okay for me. Could take with the queen, and then he's threatening to push here, set up a discovery. But I can just castle and take his knight. Threaten to take his knight. So coming out that way. Very interesting. Yeah, I think I just want a castle. It'll defend this pawn. My knight is not hanging. My bishop is, but that's just being traded for the rook. He can take here, but he won't be able to take here. And when he takes here, I can take with a pawn. He takes back with check. I can put the bishop here or move the rook, whatever. The king won't be there anymore. Is that the best I can do? I could take a cheer with my knight. It's a check. Oh, but he can just take it. It'd be a nice fork. Yeah, I think castling is the answer here. I mean, I guess I was limited in the responses I had because there was this threat hanging over and I had to deal with that. It was actually a mate in one if queen takes there. There was also taking here and setting up a discovered check. So here I can just take, right? And then I can move the rook. So what now? Oh, he takes the pawn. That's interesting. So I take back. He's going to try and take advantage of the pin, but I can move my knight with check and take the queen. Well, the queen's defended, so moving the knight with check is not a great thing. But what I can do is just save my bishop. Oh. Well, now I'll move the knight with check, take the queen, and save the bishop, right? Simplest thing. Let's have this check, but then he takes my bishop. Let's check with the queen. He pushes the pawn. Okay, here with check or here with check? I go here with check. He takes with the pawn, and it kind of blocks in my bishop. Go here with check. He takes with the bishop. I take the queen. He resigned. He resigned. Okay, we'll go to the analysis board then. I was just looking for the best answer here. Before I turn on the computer and find the best answer. So what I was thinking maybe is this one. That's check. If the king moves, I take the queen. So he takes the queen. Oh, no, I take the queen with check. So that's not so good. King could go here. And I take the queen and he takes the queen. Then I could save my knight. If he takes the bishop, leaving aside this tactic, what's just a rough piece count? 1 rook and 2 pieces, 2 rooks and 2 pieces. So I'm just ahead. Plus, if he takes my bishop, I have this fork here. So that was not working out for him. So as I thought, when I go here with check, he would take it. Then I could take the queen with check. And he doesn't want to take my bishop. He wants to take my queen. And I save my bishop, or I take it. I take his bishop. And I've got 2 rooks and 2 pieces, and he has 1 rook and 1 piece. Yeah, so I'm better in every way after that. So let's see what the best move is according to the computer. Computer likes knight takes d2 check. Okay, that was my choice. Second choice was bishop a6 check. I was looking at bishop a6 check, but I thought it would just help him a little bit because he gets to take the bishop. Let's look at this line. Bishop a6 check. King takes, and then what? Just take the knight, defending my queen. And after this trade, I'm just, yeah, 2 pieces up. rook, up a rook and a bishop. If he takes the knight, I save the queen, say. And what is this? This is queens are on. I have 2 rooks. I'm just a rook up. So yeah, I just come out better in all those lines. So he made a mistake early on. Maybe go back and we have time. The notorious 2 knights defense. I think that's a move. I think castling is a move, and but taking, it's actually slightly good for black according to the engine. So taking here is correct, or it's at least playable. And then the rook move is wrong because of d5. So what should he play at this point? Because he shouldn't get into trouble so fast. So instead of moving the rook, he could play bishop to b5 right away. Get away from that. Pawn push, and then I could retreat or bring my bishop out. Knight d6 or bishop e7 or bishop c5. Interesting. I wouldn't have thought to play those moves, but makes sense. Is there a problem with d5 here? That's kind of what I would think. Oh, then that just loses the pawn. I mean, this loses the pawn too. But he has to give up the bishop to get it. And then just develop. And it likes black a little better in this position because I have the bishop pair and open lines in the center. Doubled pawns. But yeah, doubled pawns are not so scary. So that's how the opening should have been played. Let's and of course he doesn't have to castle there. If we go back to the point where he castled, and the best move here, it says, is d3, defending the pawn. Give more of a normal looking game. Okay, turn the evaluation off. Well, that's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. Bye.